Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Grand Cross Renovation. This is a run I've been working on off and on for, I guess, about the last month or so now, ever since I found out about GCR version 2, which, if you don't know about that, Raynex, the guy that made these, goes under Eternal Sphere, also put out a what he calls a 2.0 or 64-bit version that you can get underneath the beta tab in Steam. I would totally recommend it. I know a lot of people, one of their biggest criticisms of the game was that it was too easy, and I feel like every criticism I had about the game is fixed in 2.0. Another reason I wanted to do a commentated run of this is just because there is absolutely no actual runs in English that explain how the game works. And it is kind of complicated. I mean, not overly complicated or anything, but I'll try my best to explain what I know about the game. It could be right, it could be wrong, but it's just my experience. So in this first stage, you can hit an extra stage if you do more than 1,000 tech. Now, from what I understand, a tech is when you erase bullets, and it also counts for your overdrive, which your overdrive is when you run your health down to 0, but you continue attacking. So it has like a very meaty close range attack, but almost no long range capability to it. So you really got to get in close. You really got to go in for that risk. It makes playing the game more fun, especially somebody like me that likes PBS, proximity-based scoring. I love the danger to it. The setup that I have for this, because I know a lot of people play this game with a controller. I play this game with a stick, and it's a little weird, the setup I have, where it's my first finger is my laser, my second finger is my shot, my third finger is move your laser right, and my thumb is move your laser left. Now altogether, that means that I can hit my first two fingers and do my overdrive laser, which is, in my opinion, the most important button in the game. There's so much hidden about this game that you'd never know unless you put in a bunch of hours to it, which I consider myself lucky that I did an almost 3 million score within 12 hours of playing the game. You actually get a different stage if you kill him right here, but I'm not so sure about it because it seems to change everything. It's almost like a boss rush, and so I decided to not do that. You'll notice my guy's like on fire. That has to do with two things that I've noticed, which is getting a 9,999 tech overdrive, and then also the more tech you have, the more you like light up with like energy. So I think that's really cool. I think this game is absolutely wonderful. I love the sense of style it has. It's one of those games that reminds me a lot of like Bat Rider or Tsukio Rentai, a lot of the Rising games where they have, or like Mushihime-sama, they have like a living, breathing world, and they're not just there for you to kill enemies. And those are my favorite shooting games. Like, I absolutely cannot have enough of those, and I think more developers need to take heed of it's not just mechanics, it's making a world that feels like it's not just there for you to destroy. There's so much happening in this game with like overkilling. Like, you have to, like right there, if it says keep on firing, it wants you to keep firing until 300 hit, which you almost have to do absolutely perfectly of keeping your laser on the enemy. So I will do better to commentate this second stage than I did with the first, just giving a little bit of a preamble. The story, in my opinion, is from what I understand it, is you play a fighter, Nexalt, who's going up against this other guy, and either you or him is a convict. I don't know. The translation is like super wonky. So I was going for, now at the beginning of every stage, if you hit the B button, which I have on my pinky, which is if you hit the B and the laser button at the same time, you get scatter ray, which really helps with like when you're surrounded. You can do what's called a risky start, and that means that it takes away all your health and you're at maximum risk from the start of the level. Now, I was doing runs where I was doing every stage as a risky start, but you know, when people say this game isn't hard, you can show them some of my I can share plenty of video of me dying in one hit, of getting through this game, you know, 41 minutes, and then in the 42nd minute getting hit by a stray shot and dying because there are no lives. So I don't want to hear somebody say that this game is easy ever again, because if you're going by scoring at all, which you definitely should be, because the game really opens up in that. And I remember Spiders, I always like to use his, you know, he's in his Devil Blade review, he had said that scoring is the highest form of play and the highest form of flattery, and I completely agree. I'm not interested in a 1cc. I'm interested in the highest score that I can possibly get. Which is kind of what upsets me about the second level, is because I would start taking stray hits, like way into practicing this in this level, and I didn't want to have to be in this large mech fighter that you're in, but honestly, with the way that it does rank in this, if you do a risky start, the level gets about 100 times more enemies. Me and my wife had noticed this when we were doing this run, because I was expecting certain guys to come out, and because I didn't do a risky start, it wasn't throwing those at me. So just know, when you go for your own high score in this, that will change depending on whether or not you do a risky start or not. Keeping up your risk in the fighter is not hard, because they give you enough stuff to have to deal with. Keeping up with risk in this thing is really hard, because it brings your life back quite quickly, which is good for survival, but is really bad for scoring, because you really want to keep that maximum risk up at 100% if you're going to get any kind of worthwhile score in this. The bosses in this are just so cool. So cool. I know I do really good with these bosses until about stage 5, in which they just start throwing them at you. Just start throwing them at you. God, the music in this is so good. Anytime you see an enemy with shields like that, with those little purple things in the front, those can be broken for extra points. Oh, and at the bottom, I need to explain Zangy Kill real quick. So anytime your risk is above 80%, I believe, when you kill someone with your laser, you get what's called a Zanga Kill, which gives you a ton of points and pops up kanji on the screen. And so, yep, getting the overkill on him. Flawless victory. Straight Mortal Kombat. It was so hard to make it through a 45-minute run with no deaths, because I don't think I've ever done a run ever where I didn't take a death in it. I mean, honestly, like, I haven't been playing these for long, but I love them so much. And yeah, I think this is the first one I've done like a deathless clear in. And also, I know, looking at the at least the recorded United States English-speaking community, I scored almost 100 million more than the highest score that I know of. Now, I know that in the credits it'll say that certain Japanese players had scored 100 or 300, 400 million, which 400 million is absolutely ridiculous in this. If I spent a little bit more time with it, I could see myself scoring at least 350 million in it, because if I could deadly start like I'd done on the first stage, every single stage, I could totally see myself getting there. It changes the game so much and makes it so hard, because this game is just throwing shit at you. I remember reading a comment on Actane's video when he did it. I guess a couple months ago he had done a GCR video, and one of the comments was like, yeah, but you know, people in the community don't really like this because there's not a lot of dodging in it, and shmups are about dodging. It's like, man, I just want to say, like, fuck you, dude, straight up, because I know that's a little harsh, but it kind of reminds me of what Shmup Junkie said when he was like, yeah, I consider bullet hell games to be dodgers. And it's like, cool, it's like, that's what you think, but don't say, like, what the community thinks. And that's why I kind of respected what Shmup Junkie had to say, and not what that random commenter had to say. Like, if you think that shmups should be about dodging, like, that's cool, but don't belittle this video game, and don't try it just because it doesn't fit the mold of what you consider a shmup. I know that a lot of us do that with, like, twin stick shooters, which that feels a little different for me, because twin stick shooters just have an overall different mechanical like baseline to them. So I don't know, it's very touchy for me, because I feel like not giving a game a chance just based on it not fitting your criteria is I don't know, kind of close-minded. I know I'm not talking about the game much, and I do apologize. It's just certain things that have upset me, and like, I know there's certain communities where people talk shit about Cave and stuff, and you know, like, I don't like Toho. I'll be the first person to admit it. I don't like Toho, but I'm not going to sit there and say they're not worthwhile games. But anyways, let's get back to the video game. So when you're also Zanga killing, you're canceling bullets and getting cube bonuses. So that's not only important for survival, but super important for scoring as well. I am using my shot a lot in this stage, which I didn't really use a lot before, mostly to keep my life from completely draining. Because even though it says you have an auto bomb defender, I think that's kind of a mistranslation, because there are no bombs in this game, and I guess it gives you like a save from one hit. But yeah, it's in my opinion a total mistranslation. Sorry to go off on like that, but there's just, we want this community to grow. We want the arcade community to grow, and there's certain things like the retro game community just completely shitting on newer games, and driving up prices of older video games, and doing this really elitist, like, oh, well, you're not part of this community. And I don't want our community to become the same thing that is. The graphics in this game are amazing. They really remind me of Tsukioku Rentai a lot. I know Mark had said that whenever he was reviewing the game. They remind me of that Saturn look, which I am super duper happy is coming back, because I'm getting so tired of NES and SNES and Sega Genesis look of, you know, the whole, like, Shovel Knight-ish look. I feel like that's kind of run its course. And, you know, like Birdcage had come out recently, and that game is just everything I love about that aesthetic. This, when I was doing this run, it made my wife motion sick because of the way that the background moves. These guys with their fucking the rainbow lasers are bullshit, by the way. I can't tell you how many times an unblockable rainbow laser came out of nowhere, especially when I would do a deadly start, and they seem to come out of everywhere. You really have to be careful of reinforcements. They will, especially if you do really good killing the enemies, they will come out of nowhere. And, you know, you could be like overkilling an enemy and then reinforcements will come, and because you're on 0 life, they'll hit you with like a pea shooter and you're toast. And that's it, run over. So, getting this run done was like such a weight off of my shoulders, because every time I was playing something else, I'd be thinking of, man, you know, I could get in there and I could do this, because I could see the end of the tunnel. I could see, you know, speaking of tunnel, I could see the end game, and I knew that I could do like above, you know, because at first I think I scored like 184 million, which I thought was pretty good, but I knew I could do better than that. I knew I could do tons better than that. There are so many bosses in this game. I wish I could give you like certain things to look out for. All I know is if they got breakable parts, it is in your best interest to break them, because they will launch just lasers and all kinds of crazy shit to it. And I think that's why I like this game, especially as a beginner game, is because there's not a ton of memo in it. A lot of it is based on reaction. And I have kind of moved past that in the last couple months of appreciating memo. But I think I know in 1.0, when I played this last year, before I knew about the updated version, I beat it my first time sitting down with it. And like, beat it in quotations, because you're not really beating it. These games are kind of, you can clear them, but none of these games are ever beaten. You can always do better. And I think that's why this is my favorite genre, is just because they are never like done with. You can always do better. At this point, I could really see the end goal, even though we still have another 25 minutes of game. A good portion of that is this final section. It is a long boss rush. Pretty much after this guy, you are in for it. If you do not take out these side pods, they will wait until right when you have no health, and you think you can dodge, and you think you can get through it, and they will fuck you. I can't tell you how many times I would be like going for a kill on this guy, and one of those side pods would be alive, and then I would just get blasted while I was doing the overkill. Luckily, when you're in the ship, unless it hits you from a certain angle, will take most of the damage. And it does have its own health bar, which is very helpful. Watching this guy's health go down so slowly while you're just blasting him. And I think somebody had said it right, that the laser in this game is like the most overpowered weapon ever. But I think what balances it out a lot is how narrow it is, because yes, it is super duper overpowered, but it is also super narrow, so you gotta kind of pick your battles. One thing you might not know is when you are sitting still while you're in the external dock armor, you can hit the normal shot button and he'll launch missiles, and that can help with crowd control, and it can help with doing a lot of damage. There is a spot here, and I think we're going to hit it here in a moment, where he's like let's see if, yeah, it's right here. Let's see if you're the real deal if you survive this attack. So this attack, even on normal, even when you're not going for a risk, like a high risk run like I did, will instantly end your run. It is an instant killer. It is supposed to be like, I don't know, kind of like Dragon Ball Z Spirit Bomb kind of thing, and it is no joke. So it reminds me a lot of Radiant Silvergun, that final attack where it's like you just got to survive it, but the difference is with this one you have to destroy it. Now, I had done the prologue and I had done the boss rush, and I might post a video about that at some point. But man, I love this game so much, and I cannot wait. There is a sequel that is announced. I saw it on Twitter about a month or two ago. That was called Grand Cross Segundo, which Segundo is, I think, second in like Spanish or something. And it looks cool, and I will totally support anything that Eternal Sphere 4 is releasing after this, because I am in love with this game. And I'm so glad to see it have a really nice update that fixes every single problem that I had with it. Every single problem. And also, I don't know, I have this love for games where there is like no information about it, where it's like you have to figure out the puzzle yourself. And that's how I felt with Grand Cross, because there's almost no English information for it, and there's very little information for it in Japanese. And I absolutely love that, of like figuring out, well, what does tech mean? Well, what does this mean? What is it? Why am I on fire right now? You know, what's the difference between scoring with no risk and maximum risk? Like, you know, a lot of people would feel like that's homework. I feel like that adds to the mystique of the game. One strategy you can do is when you're just deleting bullets or smaller guys, just do your normal Sunblade, which is hit just with a single button. And then when you have a big guy come out, or somebody you want to get killed quick, you do your Overblade, which is both buttons hit at the same time. Also, whenever you are at no health, it'll say overdrive, and you'll get a ton of points by hitting 9,999. That's actually how I had made a good portion of the score I had done on this run, was by getting those big combos. This guy sucks because his core is the only thing that is vulnerable on him, and lining up that shot is such a pain in the ass, because he goes between shooting with his wings and then shooting you with his core. So you kind of have to know, like back and forth, like what he's going to hit you with. There is some tech that I'd heard Bog Hog tell Mark, where he had done 2 hits at the same time, like using your Overblade to keep your life short, like kind of tapping on it to keep your life about 50%, because that's where you're going to get a lot of your risk from. If your life is below 50%, you'll see a red line on my life down the bottom start increasing. That's your risk. Okay, you can also see it up in the upper right as well. So you kind of keep an eye on it in multiple ways. I really like that this added a way to tell your life that's actually around your ship. There's like a little circle around your ship that will go away or you know, appear depending on how much life you have. So I really like that. That way I'm not having to look up in the corner to see how much life I have. The beeping that happens whenever you're at low life too really helps. I know some people would probably find that annoying, but especially when one hit can kill you whenever you're at low life, it is certainly helpful to have all the help you can get. Getting these on the side is a mere positioning nightmare because you have to move your targeting reticle around as you move, which I find becomes second nature after a short time. Don't let that dissuade you. Getting the side pods on this guy are absolutely essential. Like I said earlier, anytime there is a chance of something else surviving before you kill somebody, it's going to launch a BS attack at you. So, like, it is guaranteed that it is going to launch a bullshit attack at you. So, the only downside I see with this game, and this game actually does very good in it, is being able to tell what is in the background and what isn't. Sometimes, especially when, like, really the only time it comes when, when that is with, like, asteroids and stuff. With these guys, you kill one of the turrets until you find an opening, and then you switch your reticle to the side and kind of blast them that way. That way you're not having to dodge their crazy fire. They kind of remind me of the enemies from the first level of Dangun Feveron, and also destroying their tide pods. Their side pods will give you a lot of points as well. I know I had gotten a comment on my last video that was like, man, I love when people are human and curse whenever they die. Well, sadly you won't hear that in this one because, you know, I couldn't die. It is impossible to die in this, just because the run would be over with it. I mean, you can continue and it'll, you know, you'll just take a hit and score, which is always hard. I don't like when games do that. I believe if you use a continue, your score should be toast. I know Devil Blade did that, where if you continue, you just take a hit and score and it adds like a 1 behind it, kind of like with beat-em-ups, certain beat-em-ups. I know I had seen Bog Hog post about that on social media. There's so many times where I was doing cube bonuses where if I didn't get the cube bonus, it was going to be just toast for me. Just over. See, yeah, those lasers absolutely will decimate. Did you see me take a hit there? That's fucking horseshit how fast they come out. And sometimes if you kill them at the wrong time, they will keep coming out when you're overkilling him. I have been overkilling that guy, and then he hit me with a laser, and I'm like, dude's already dead. How the hell did he hit me with a laser? But I think it's because he was like firing before, before it was able to tell whether or not he was dead or not. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I know that there's certain games where I'll see on Reddit, I'll see people posting about twin stick shooters and stuff like that. Now, I don't think it's me being upset with the fact that they made a game, because I wish more people would make indie games. It's just the fact that, like, it was kind of like that video that Mark had released where he's like going over what a shmup is, you know, for scrolling all this other stuff. I think when you break it down to mechanics, anything past that, yeah, it starts kind of damaging, you know, it starts getting a little bit elitist. And there is a difference between gatekeeping something you hold dear and being an elitist. You know, nobody appreciates an asshole, pretty much. But I know sometimes we have to be assholes because we do expect quality. It's this very slippery slope. Very slippery slope. So pretty much this is just one big long level. That's why my score at the bottom hasn't reset yet. It reminds me a lot of Batrider in that way, as in, like, the first couple levels are very short, and then these last 2 levels are absolutely like the entire runtime of the first of the first, you know, 4 levels of the game. I kind of like it, but at the same time, it feels like, oh wow, this is the hardest boss in the game, in my opinion. I can't tell you how many times this guy killed me. Those, as far as I know, you cannot cancel those red lasers with your laser. You have to dodge them. And this guy's also spawning those like light orbs behind you. Those light orbs do a ton of damage, and the lasers do a lot of damage. They're like homing lasers. Luckily, with your laser, and I think with your shot too, you can actually push back the other lasers, kind of like G-Darius or Border Down, stuff like that. I hadn't even figured that you could do that until last time I played, and I was so scared of doing overkill on him because of the fact that reinforcements were coming from the side. That's actually how he killed me the time before, when I posted my YouTube short about not giving up. Was I killed him, I was doing the overkilling bonus on him, and then a little Zocco came out from the side and shot a tiny little bullet at me and ended a 31-minute run, and I was mad, dude. I felt like throwing my stick out the window. This is one of the guest-designed enemies. I think this was either designed by the guys that did Gray's Counter or Shigetaki. I can't remember. I know that both of them have guest art in this game, which Shigetaki's really fits in with the whole aesthetic of this game. Kind of crunchy, Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1 kind of look. I think that's what had reminded me to come back to this game, was on Shoot the Core February. They had done a Devil Blade reboot run, and it got me kind of thinking of this game again, and I kind of wanted to give it a chance, another chance. Those white bullets are going to be the bane of your existence, because they can be canceled, but they have to be canceled, or they can be canceled quicker with your overblade, and your overblade is going to suck your life dry within a couple seconds. The only reason I was able to make it through this game with using my overblade as much as I did was just because I had routed the first half of this game and then played the second half based on reaction, pretty much. I had stage selected the first 3 stages and then the final boss, and everything else was based purely on, because at this point it's pretty much a treasure game. They're just throwing bosses at you. It might as well be Radiant Silvergun. And I really, at this point in my skill, you know, playing these games less than a year, I really respect that people can go through Radiant Silvergun or treasure games and remember all the bosses. I cannot. I'm sure I will get to that point, continue playing them, but I cannot at this moment. So I will probably come back whenever I have the IQ of 200 and the memory of, I don't know, Albert Einstein, and try it again, but that day is not today. I love this level. That back with the Total Eclipse running. See, I had said in, I think, another video that I feel like this is what Birdcage wanted to be, but kind of failed a little bit. because everything I wanted in Birdcage is in Grand Cross Renovation 2.0. And I know that sucks because I think they were going for kind of a similar feel. I love how weird this game is. I love how, yeah, if anybody tells you this game doesn't have dodging in it, show them this clip. You know? Show them this clip right here. And just be like, shut up, dude. So, yeah, but with Birdcage, especially with the weird way the sword worked, I almost wish it had a kind of, which I know it does on analog sticks, but don't make me play with an analog stick. The reason I started loving these games so much was because I started playing them with the stick. I remember the first time I played, God, I think it was either Mushi or I think I had the M2 version for Diojo, and I played it with the stick, and I'm like, man, I gotta play the rest of these like that, because it feels like I'm piloting a ship, and that feeling is just amazing. See, dodging those white bullets kind of reminds me of Blackheart quite a bit. If you haven't checked out the soundtrack on this game, you totally should. Beatnoid Works is the guy that worked on it, and it's something that I regularly listen to in my free time. It is so good. Now, I set up the epilogue to play here because I love it. It reminds me a lot of the of that one, God, I can't remember the name of it. That one mech anime that was made by the same guy that did Gundam. It's really depressing and really really fucked up. God, actually, I'm gonna look it up real quick while we watch this, because this like Grand Cross Activate part reminds me of it so much. Yeah, Space Runaway Ideon is what this part reminds me of a lot, especially with that big laser that just destroys everything. That is like the ending of the second Ideon movie, which is heartbreaking. If you haven't ever seen it, you totally should. It is a great anime. Adults only, though, I have to tell you that. But, man, I cannot wait for the second part of this game. The pixel art in this is so good. And I'm sorry that I didn't give a lot of tips on this one. It was mostly just how I feel about the game and pretty much everything else under the sun. But I hope you still enjoyed, and I'm going to leave you with the credits. And we're going to MST3K it over the credits. If you're on social media and aren't following any of these guys, you totally should. They are still releasing news and updates and everything else about upcoming games they're working on, and it's always nice to give people in our community support. I was thinking about it a couple days ago, and I consider myself to be the third wave of creators that are coming up. I hate using that term, but that are coming up. I would like to consider like Shmup Junkie and Mark the people that had, and you know, people like Actane. I keep saying Actane, but I know it's Octane. I'm sorry. You know, Chino, Germa, you know, all those other guys that were like kind of the first wave. And then, you know, Spiders kind of came a little bit after that. That was influenced by the guys before Hidden Fortress had been making videos for years and years and years and years. But I know had started trying something different. and then I would consider myself influenced by them. And so I would just like to thank all of them, because I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for you guys. And I just want you to know how important that is to all of you. Dez, Pan, Hazy 4 Levels, Spiders STG, Hidden Fortress, Electric Underground, Shmup Junkie, Bullet Heaven, all these guys that got me to give these games a chance and and show that they were more than just killing shit. And I really appreciate that, because it opened up gaming to me and made me fall back in love with it again. So I want to end on a positive note there. And I hope you enjoy the To Be Continued. See y'all later.